Hello, and thank you for joining me today. Well, this is the Monday, January 15th edition of our video devotional, so thank you so much for joining us today. I hope your Monday's going well. It is the beginning of another work week and school week, so hopefully it can be a great week. We're right here about the middle part of the month of January, and again, as we always say, here we are already halfway through a month, and the year will just march on, but hopefully it'll be a great year for you. And hopefully this week will be a great week for you. All right, so we're going to jump into things here today. And before we do that, again, let's remember, folks, that's requested prayer. Dear lady, she's waiting results from a biopsy. And let's pray for her. And, of course, there's others who ask. Let's remember each other as we can. And then, again, of course, just thank you all for watching and any of the interactions we have, the responses, and just the comments that are made. We appreciate you, okay? All right, so notice we're going to start a new theme this week, and the word is better, B-E-T-T-E-R. And so we're going to be in Ruth chapter 4 today and show you where the word better is used and kind of look at the story here and give you some things I believe that will help you. So as we think about the word better, we think about it in terms like this. We think about good, better, and best. A lot of times you can buy a product or you can review a product, and sometimes they'll say this is good and this is better. And this is the best. There's a local, kind of like a hardware store, retail store that they'll display their items, and they're like power tools, all right. And they'll say right on there, they'll say this is the good one, and here's the better one, and here's the best. And obviously the price is usually going to reflect the best, but I guess it's just saying as far as quality or maybe even reviews and all that sort of thing. So what I'm saying is we understand the word better. Better is better, okay, than good, but not as good or as best, perhaps. But the point is that we're going to look at the word better as it's used here in the Bible and just kind of see from the example here what's being said, okay? All right, so Ruth chapter 4, we're going to go back, I think, to verse number 13. Just a very, very quick review of the book of Ruth, 4 chapters, but basically it's about a man and a woman that have 2 sons, and they go down into Moab because times get bad, get very lean there in the land, the area right there around Bethlehem. And so they get down there into Moab. Dad dies, and the 2 sons die. But before the 2 sons die, they marry to 2 ladies of the area of Moab, Moabitish women. And so the sons die, Dad dies, and here is Naomi left. She's the mother, and there's these two daughters-in-law, Ruth and Orpah. Orpah decides to stay back in her land after a little bit of conversation about how she kind of yearns to stay with Naomi, but she stays back in Moab. But Ruth just wouldn't leave her side. Beautiful story. So Ruth and Naomi, they go back home, Naomi's home. And of course, the people recognize just how hard life has been on Naomi just by her very looks. And so they begin to start their life. And so we find out that Naomi says, I've got some kin. This kin happens to be Boaz. And Boaz is a man of wealth, and so Naomi says, Ruth, you need to go kind of just look him up and just kind of work and just see if we can just kind of make it this way, just kind of survive. So he ends up, Boaz notices Ruth and begins to take care of her, and he begins to realize that, he's of kin to Naomi. And of course, by the very fact that Ruth had married into the family, there's a responsibility. But there's another man that stands in line who would kind of take the responsibility of the family. And but he says, no, I'm not going to do that. So Boaz says, I'll do it then. So Boaz and Ruth are going to get married. I want you to notice here in chapter 4, verse 13, it says, so Boaz took Ruth, and she was his wife. And when he went unto her, the Lord gave her conception, and she bare a son. And the women said unto Naomi, blessed be the Lord, which hath not left thee this day without a kinsman, that his name may be famous in Israel. Now notice verse 15. Here's where we find our word better. And he shall be unto thee a restorer of thy life, and a nourisher of thine old age. For thy daughter-in-law, which loveth thee, which is better to thee than 7 sons, hath borne him. And it goes on in verse 17, and the women gave her neighbor, her neighbors gave it a name, saying, there is a son born to Naomi, and they called his name Obed. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David. So notice what a blessing there in that line of David, and of course in the line of Christ. So we're going to come back here to this verse 15 where it has a phrase here. Speaking of Ruth, rather, for thy daughter-in-law, which loveth thee, which is better to thee than 7 sons hath borne him. So what a comparison that this lady, this daughter-in-law, who could have stayed back in her own home, could have said, look, my people's not your people, and we have our own ways. But, it's very interesting how she's the one that said to Naomi, and of course I'm paraphrasing, but your people's going to be my people, and your God my God, and I'm just going to go with you. And so she does, and what a blessing that it works out the way it does. But here's the reputation that Ruth had here. She loved her mother-in-law, and she wanted to help her and do good by her. And of course, Naomi had a fondness for Ruth herself. But the Lord really blessed in this situation. But the people said, look, Ruth is better to thee than 7 sons. Boy, that's really saying something, especially since her background is not like the people of that land. They could have really said, look, you need to tell this lady she needs to go back home. And this is kind of would not be good for you to have her within the family, so to speak. But that wasn't the case of all. We see God's mercy and his grace here, and more the blessing here. But the fact that the people said, look, you've got this daughter-in-law, and she loves you, and she's a good woman. Boaz noticed that right off the bat, and basically everybody saw the honor of this Ruth, and how she was trying to help her mother-in-law, the fact that really she didn't have any connection to the people of the land, any of that. But you know what? God really blessed her. And Naomi, of course, was blessed. And of course, this child between Boaz and Ruth, what a blessing that is. So it's amazing here how someone can decide they want to do the right thing and be with God's people and want to do the right thing and basically say, you know what, it's kind of unusual, but doing the right thing is not unusual. And I need to do the right thing here. And God blessed her for that. And the people saw her, and her reputation was really great in the fact that, you know what, this is a very fine lady, and she's better to thee than 7 sons. And I would hope all of us could have that kind of character where people say that similar things about us, that when they look at us and say, man, that you're fortunate to have them in your family, using the word, you're blessed, I guess is the better word. And people notice things like that. So let's be that kind of people, and thank God for people in our lives, whoever they are, that are good like that to us. I think it's good. I'm going to close with this. I think it's wonderful that when someone marries into a family, that you have the in-laws, and sometimes that's kind of a little bit of, could be contention there, but it's amazing how people can look at their people that are their in-laws, and the in-laws look at their daughter-in-law or the brother-in-law and say, you know what, you're family to us, and we love you, and we think you're great, and you're great for our son or daughter. So that's the way it should be, right? So we're going to stop right there. We'll continue the week using the word better. I hope that's a blessing to you, a help to you. Otherwise, have a wonderful day, great day. And if you've been a little bit sick or not feeling well, hope you do get better, as we use that word, right? And we'll see you tomorrow, Lord willing. Thank you.